California grape growers are getting crushed. The EU has a lot to lose with the US wine tariffs, and Napa's reckoning may be coming or not. It's really kind of up to Napa. All that and more on this episode of This Week Uncorked. Hello and welcome to episode 43 of This Week Uncorked for Monday, May 12th, 2025. I am Rep Martin from Cork and Journey. That's your number one source for corkage fees, winery reviews, restaurant reviews, wine reviews. We have all of that and more. Head over to corkandjourney.com and check it out. And with that, let's get right on to this week's news. W. Blake Gray is at it again. If he's not over on Wine Business, he's in Wine Searcher. He's everywhere. Anyway, he's got a great article on Congress resists Biden liquor guidelines. So, really interesting. The Biden administration has been pushing to implement dietary guidelines that basically say all alcohol, any, bad for you, shouldn't have it. So, that group is still in place. So really interesting. So from the article, the stakes are high. If the Biden appointees who are still in place get their way and the dietary guidelines for adults say what teetotaling Biden wants, tell how you really feel, W. Blake Gray, that no amount of alcohol is safe to drink, it would be devastating, not just for the liquor industry, but for restaurants and possibly the U.S. economy as a whole. This is not an exaggeration. When Franklin D. Roosevelt wanted to end the Great Depression, one of his first steps was to end prohibition. Not only did that put breweries and wineries back to work, hiring thousands of workers, it sent Americans out to legal restaurants and bars instead of speakeasies. It revitalized the economy. To be clear, Biden is not himself sitting in a Washington office attempting to convince Americans against all evidence that moderate drinking is bad for us. But the secretive committee he put in place to do just that is still operating, and Congress has asked them to stop again. So basically, Congress is saying, no, don't do this. We've covered this in the past. There's an entire group in there. They're basically neo-prohibitionists, cherry-picking various things on various studies. And, it goes both ways. You can cherry-pick and say, oh, it's good for you. Oh, it's bad for you. I mean, it seems like every single week we have a study that says alcohol's bad, alcohol's beneficial, alcohol's good, alcohol's not. Anyway, I agree with him, though. If these dietary guidelines come through and say basically any alcohol is bad, don't drink alcohol, the next step for that then is probably a total ban, except you think they would have done that with cigarettes, but the taxes are too high. So probably no ban. Anyway, moving right along, 750 Daily, in more uplifting news, has the plight of California grape growers. We've talked about this for a while, but here's some. Did you know that American wine can have 25% of foreign imported grapes in it? I didn't either. I'm assuming you didn't know that. So from the article, though the dip in demand is hurting California growers at all levels of the quality spectrum, even Napa Valley wine growers had trouble selling grapes in 2024. Those in high-volume production areas faced additional challenges. Lodi growers, such as Spencer, who's being quoted in the article, whose family farms 40 acres of wine grapes in Lodi, says California's largest wine companies are contributing to the problem of unharvested grapes. Instead of buying more locally grown fruit, he explains they are blending cheaper foreign wines into their products and labeling them with the American appellation of origin. Although federal law allows U.S. wineries to include up to 25% imported wine in these products, Spencer says the practice is misleading to consumers and an insult to California grape growers. The motivation, he says, is cost. It is an insult, and it's crazy, but it just goes and shows how much cheaper it is to make the juice over in Europe or wherever, because the land, they've had it in the families forever, so you can make it and you can ship it all the way over here, and it's still cheaper than buying some grapes from Lodi. It's absolutely crazy. Anyway, but I was unaware. I know that you had certain things where, hey, in order for this bottle of wine to say it's from this, it has to, most of the grapes have to be from here, 100%, 75%, whatever. But I was unaware that additional percentage could be from anywhere in the world. So crazy. With that, hey, a quick word from us this week. We always talk about how we're the number one source for corkage fees. We'll talk about it. If you go to corkandjourney.com, finding a corkage fee is an absolute breeze. Right there, we've redesigned the homepage. It's just right there. You type in the name of the restaurant, you type in your zip code, it's going to bring up the corkage fee, tell you all about it. You also can go to the corkage fee page, type anything in. You can enter your location. You can do a 5-mile search. You can do a 10-mile search, so you can search from there. You can even search by city if you want to search by city. It's just kind of a quick thing like, hey, what's going on in Los Angeles? That's a big area, but you're there. It's going to kind of break all these down and give you all the restaurants there. Well, I think we're up to 5, 7, 8,000, something like that. I think it's closer to 8,000 restaurants. We verify the listings all of the time. And so head over to corkandjourney.com. Get your corkage fees on while you're there. Read some of our reviews on restaurant. By the way, a lot of the restaurants, we've got reviews for them. So if there's a corkage, we've been there. We've done a review. A little different, not your basic Yelp review. It's just our personal opinion of it, what we ate, what the meal was. So you can check that out as well. And with that, let's move on with the news. So Mining Years International has an interesting report. Tie into kind of our previous story. Wine accounts for over half of all EU alcohol exports. And this graph is crazy on this article. So here's the bottom line. Wine is worth about 16.8 billion euros, so 18.1 billion US dollars that was exported of the $29 billion or 32 billion that was totally exported. So basically 56% of all alcohol exports to the world are wine. The US is the biggest importer of that. We basically account for almost a third of that at 8.9 billion euros, so a little over 9 billion US dollars. So 89.9%. The interesting part about this is that the EU is 450 million, the US is 350 million, give or take. So there are 100 million more, and we're importing almost 9 billion. They are buying $500 million worth of our wine. So little bit of a difference there, a little bit of a disparity. But this goes, we talked about the bulk wine coming in, all of the wine. I mean, this is junk wine, good wine, bad wine. But you do have these disparities where our industry is being hurt. There are tariffs, plus our stuff is really expensive. You have family-owned stuff over in Europe. It's a whole dynamic, goes on and on and on. I just did find it really, really, really fascinating to kind of run through those numbers and take a look at them. And then to wrap it all up with just the happiness in the wine industry, wine business has uncertainty makes for a gloomy economic road ahead. Yet there's still economic development opportunity for Napa. Is there? I guess they don't just kind of squeeze all their small wineries to death. Looking at you, Hoops. Anyway, Dr. Robert Eiler, chair of the economics department at Sonoma State University and a member of the Redwood Credit Union Board of Directors, shared insights on the future of Napa's economy on a talk on May 1st. Here were some of the key takeaways. Expect rising costs across the board because things are going up and they're getting more expensive, and it is California. While recent tariffs have generally hurt American farmers, U.S. vineyards and wineries may benefit due to reduced import competition. See above. What we recently talked about. Structural changes are reshaping the wine industry, notably declining numbers of wine drinkers as younger generations, especially Gen Z, we've talked about this over and over, move away from alcohol. Napa faces a potential tourism disruptions amid economic uncertainties. By diversifying tourism could provide as a safeguard. And businesses throughout Napa Valley should adopt a cooperative or rather than competitive approach to strengthen their regional economy. I think they are doing a cooperative approach there. But anyway, just steps Napa can take. How about less regulation? Let me see. You can start there. What else could Napa do? Oh, they could maybe less regulation. Maybe be less regulation. Those would be my 3 top things that Napa could do to help the wine industry. All right, with that, let's move on to our wine and winery of the week. We're going to start with Tobin James Cellars in Paso Robles. If you are coming in off the 5 freeway and you're coming in on 46 and you're diving down into Paso, it's pretty much one of the first places you're going to come to. It has been there a while. Very approachable wines, very approachable tasting room, comfortable, easygoing, just like the wines, comfortable and easygoing. The one I've got here, an example. This is a GSM. It's just GSM. I don't even know if they give me the blends here on the back. Yeah, they do. 48% Grenache, 38% Syrah, 14% Mourvedre. Anyway, they make good stuff, decent, comfortable tasting room. You can hit it on the way in, and then when you're done with your trip, you can hit it on the way out. But just a lot of people don't stop there because it's not, I guess, in the hills of Paso where you're driving through, or kind of all the properties are. It's kind of down there in the mainland, but worth checking out if you're in Paso. And then also we're going to talk about our wine of the week. This is a 2023 GlassMen Wines Sonoma County Pinot. Very good, $35 a bottle, 89 points. It was a decent Pinot, and for a Sonoma Pinot at $35, it kind of came in. It didn't knock our socks off, but it was very drinkable and very good. So if you see that on a menu, I've seen it at restaurants kind of reasonably priced in the $60 range. I'm not marking it up that much. Give it a shot, because for that price, it's pretty decent. Anyway, and that's our restaurant and our wine and winery of the week. Now let's move on to our restaurant and corkage of the week. Yes, Don Vito's in Las Vegas, Nevada. So this is in a local casino off the strip called the South Point. This is a little Italian joint. It is exceptionally reasonably priced. It's about $30 per plate tops, but it's quaint, lovely, service is very good, and the food was good, especially for the price. The corkage fee is only $20 a bottle. They don't even have a limit on it. It's worth checking out if you were in Las Vegas. If you happen to be a South Point, if you're a bowler, they got one of the biggest bowling alleys. If you're a rodeo person, they have like the biggest indoor rodeo stadium. This is what happens in Las Vegas. And they got like an 18 theater movie theater in there, Cinemark or something like that. So maybe you're there, maybe go to the movies, because that's what you do. You're in Vegas. You don't gamble. You go to the movies. Maybe come to Vegas. You go to a rodeo. Maybe you want to go bowling. Anyway, Don Vito's. It's in South Point Casino. Check it out. We've also done another review for a restaurant in there called Michael's. Now that is a destination restaurant. That is, you will go there. You will have a great time. You want to go there for that. So anyway, check it out. And $20 corkage, fantastic. All right, everybody, with that's going to wrap up this week's edition of This Week Uncorked. Thank you so much for stopping by. We would love it if you would subscribe to us on YouTube, as well as follow us on all your favorite social media applications. Also, we got a lot of videos. Watch them. Till then, cheers, everybody. We'll see you next week.